Hello everyone, this is Green Dude. One thing that I wanted to make clear is that with this series, we are trying to progress very slowly. So if you go to my first video, I cover the absolute basics of getting started, and then we build and build and build our knowledge from video to video. And so this series is really intended to be watched in the order that I number them, so that someone who has zero experience in modding can begin at episode 0, and then move forward and just get better and better at modding until you become intermediate or advanced at modding. But what that does mean is that maybe my pace will be a little bit too slow. Some people are excited to see how to do I've read your comments and I've seen that some people are excited to find out how to mod certain things, but you guys are just are jumping ahead. So I just wanted to say thanks for the kind words, and we will get to everything you guys want. But first we have to build up that knowledge, right? Slowly, one video at a time. I think so far we've built up enough knowledge in skills.txt that now we can edit a skill. And in editing the skill, we're also going to jump into 2 other files. So it's a big jump today, but hopefully I can deliver it in a way that's easy to digest and to understand. So we're beginning with the Thorns Aura, and if we scroll just a tiny little bit right here, you have the aura columns here. And what we want to do is better understand them. So this one we will not cover today. It's not too important for us right now, but just in case you're curious, the aura filter is what tells the game who is being affected by the aura. But I'm not going to dive any deeper into that one yet, because today we're not changing this. The Thorns Aura is going to continue being a allied unit aura, meaning it affects everybody who's in your party, including your summons. And the Thorns Aura it has its purpose, but it's a pretty underwhelming aura to run, unless you're doing a speed run or something very specifically, something that needs it specifically. But I just thought we could improve it. So one of the things we're going to do is open up a new text file and go to item stat cost, and here you'll have all the stats in the game. Now I'm not going to cover this file today, there's too much information here, but I want you to know that in skills.txt, when we refer to a stat, we are referring to the stat by the name that comes from column A in item stat cost. And so we need to come here and check how it's written. But yeah, if you know what stat you want, you can come here and just look at these and find the name. And that's exactly what we'll do right now. Okay, so for today we're going to choose a stat. In this case, I'm thinking faster hit recovery will be a good one, because thorns, you're taking hits, you want to recover from them quickly, so maybe giving your party faster hit recovery would be nice. Of course you can do anything you want in your mod. This is just my idea I just came up with right now, so that's what we'll do for this video. Here it is. So in the game, it's called faster hit recovery, and here it's called item underscore faster get hit rate. So there you go. Gonna copy paste it over, and we're gonna put it in aura stat 2. So the way it works is your your stats go into the aura stats. So here they are. You can have up to 6. So this is where you put in the name of the stat from column A in item stat cost. And you can see that Thorns, where is it? Here it is. Thorns already has one stat, and that is Thorns %. So it's a stat just for reflect as a %. And then next to aura stat 1 is aura stat calc. So same thing again with all the other ones. And the calc represents how much of that stat are we giving. So if I typed in faster get hit rate of 50, then my party would get faster hit recovery equal to 50. So you can just type in a number. But these are formula fields. So just like we did in a previous video, you can type all sorts of stuff here. So you could, for example, say if you want 1 faster hit recovery per level, then you could just type level here. Now, in the other video, I showed you that if you wanted to check this level of a skill, you had to do it this way, right? So you would do thorns.level. B level is for hard points, and levels is just for soft points or total points. And this is true. This is exactly how you reference a skills level. But because this aura is already thorns, you don't need to reference thorns like this. You can just write level and it'll know to reference itself. So just level on its own means self level or its own level. So right now this means every level into thorns gives me 1 faster hit recovery. Another thing you can do, of course, is like in the other video, you could do par and, for example, 6. And then go all the way to the parameters where we were last time. And you remember that these are the parameters here. They're just values elsewhere. So then we could say, okay, Thorns has nothing here in parameter 6. So I could put my 50 faster hit recovery here. And then put my label here in the comment field. And now, anytime I want to change the faster hit recovery for Thorns, I can come into my parameters here. And you can see that damage bounce back per level or reflect per level, aura radius per level, these are all here already. So the developers have already set up the parameters here for that. So it might be nice to do the same here instead of typing 50 over there. But I think we should scale it per level. If I just write 50 here, then it's only going to be level 50. It's only going to be 50 every level. So what can you do if you wanted to start? So maybe I should write my goal here. My goal is start at 10%, then 1% per level. So one thing I could do is parameter 5, and then I do plus parameter 6 times level. Now let me just go change these. So parameter 5, also unused, faster hit start, let's just say, the starting percentage of 10, and per level So here we've said parameter 5 will be the 10% starting and parameter 6 will be the 1% per level, right? Now if I go back here, you can see that this is correct. So my parameter 5 is 10 and this par 6 is 1, and then level, let's just say the skill is level 1. 1 times 1 is 1, plus 10 equal 11. So 11% at level 1. And if I did level 20, then 20 times 1 is 20, plus 10 is 30 at level 20. So you can see that it's kind of working okay. This Here I'm testing out my formula just mentally in my head whether it's working as I want it, and this is our goal here. So if you recall, your goal was 10%, then 1% per level, so that's working fine. So that means that my formula is good. Now you could do this, and we can leave it this way and it'll work. However, the game has a bit of a shortcut so that you don't have to type in this formula, and that's called LN, which is linear 5, 6, parameter 5 and 6. So this entire formula can be basically done by just typing LN56. And you can see this one is LN34, so parameter 3 and 4. And yeah, LN always means in this order. First is the start, then is the per level. Now I'll show you something. If you open up, where is it? Skills, I think, skills formula, skills calc, there it is. You can see it here. So there it is. So these are things you can refer to. So like I told you, there's parameter 1 through 8, which we already introduced you to. But then there's also this LN12, LN34, 5, 6, 7, 8, which are, again, referring to these pars, but they've got the built-in formula already. A plus level times B. So that saves you time. So instead of me writing this formula, I can just do LN56 because I've already got my 5.6 done. Just in case you're curious, DM56 would be the same thing, but it would be diminishing returns. That's what the DM is for, diminishing. So if you wanted every point into the skill to slow down the progress, a good example would be the Amazon's evasion skills. They use DM. Anyway, we'll come back to this file another time, but yeah, this file itself cannot be edited. This is just a reference sheet so that you can come here and remember what it is. And today, like I told you, I explained that if you just put LVL, that also works for yourself, for that self skill. And then B level is somewhere in there as well. Anyway, we'll cover more of these in another video. I don't want to overwhelm you. So basically this formula is now here, LN56. And again, parameter 5, 6 are labeled properly. 5 is the starting and 6 is the per level. So that's a simple way to do it. So we just actually added faster hit recovery to Thorns, just like that. So technically we're already done, but we've got more stuff to do. For example, if I hop into the game, can you see this? Oh yeah, a little bit. So you can see that it still doesn't show the faster hit recovery. So even though it does work, if I ran this aura, I would have hit recovery. You cannot see it labeled. Now I just want to show you that it's working. And the way I'm going to do that is by changing it from faster hit recovery to lightning resist or something. Just something that we can see. Okay, let me hop back in here. So now my Thorns is giving lightning resist. And you can see right there, it just popped up. So it's skill level 1, 10. Then if I put another point, it should go up by 1. 1. There it is. So this shows you that the faster hit recovery would be working. It's just that in Diablo 2, you know, hit recovery doesn't appear in the sheet. So that's why I'm using the lightning just to show you. But now I'm going to revert it back to hit recovery. So we know the aura is working as intended, so we're pretty much done here. But we need to open a file called skilldesk.txt. Now I've already got mine open, but you can open up yours. And desk stands for description, skill description, or the skill tooltip as I call it. So you've got this actual skill in skills.txt, and then you have the tooltip of that skill in skills description. So let's go ahead and search for our thorns. So row 105. And we're not going to cover the first rows. Move to these rows here called description line 1 and beyond that. Let me enable this so we can see thorns. There we go. So this file is not something I want to super deep dive into, but I will introduce it to you, and I'll also introduce to you the file guide on the website. So I've already told you guys that D2 Mods has a file guide for each file. And so if I can bring up my... Okay, so in the file guides index, you can see skill description is here. Gonna open that up, and then we're gonna scroll down to this table here. So I'll try and explain this the best I can. Okay, here on the left side you've got this index of numbers. Each number represents something. So for example, number 1 is for mana cost. So if you want a skill to have a mana cost, then you use the number 1. So let's go back to our sheet here. You can see that Thorns has number 7 and number 19 for description line 1 and line 2. Now, just so you understand what we're talking about, oops, the line represents those two lines under where it says current skill level 2. Current skill level 2. So the first line is radius 12 yards, and the second line is 290% damage returned. Those are the lines we're talking about here. Line 1, line 2, and it goes up to 6. So this is the lines under the current skill level. So if I wanted to add a mana cost, I would use the number 1. For example, Holy Bolt has a mana cost. So you just put number 1 here, and that means that for line 1 will be a mana cost. Now it can be a little confusing, the line order, because the line order are backwards. So for example, this one is actually the last line, like the line from the bottom. So that's why mana costs are usually in this row, and they end up at the bottom of the tooltip. And then again, if I show you this in game, Holy Bolt, mana cost is the third line. So, but in the file it's the first line. So line 1 at the bottom, mana cost. And then line 2 is number 43. And that's for the heals 1 to 6. And then number 38, Holy Bolt uses for magic damage 8 to 16. So that's what these numbers mean, is they represent a different kind of text, and each column here represents a different line. So going back to our thorns, we can see that the first one is number 7, and number 7 will be the percent damage returned. Okay, so parameter 1 to 2 was aura radius, and if we look at line 2, it also says number 19. And we already know that the second line, or the first line from the top, is radius. So if we want to add a third line, we know that we want to put it here. And we also know that in the game it will appear above radius 12 yards. So let's say that I wanted to take the radius 12 yards and I wanted to keep it at the top of that list. Then I should move it here. So I should take this, copy, paste it, and then delete this one. And so what I've done effectively here is I've made it where in the game there will be a space in between radius and damage returned. And we're going to put our faster hit recovery in that space. So it's going to be the middle line. But how do we do it? What do we type? What number? So let's go back to the website. So here, and this is pretty complicated, so I'll try my best to explain it. The S1 represents a string, so a word that you will type in. S2 means another word or another string. And C1 or 2 represents a formula. So usually that's, you know, the actual stat. So for example, if I wanted, let me type up here. If I wanted the line to look like this: faster hit recovery 10%. So then faster hit recovery is my S1, because that's words, text. 10 and the changing 10 is going to be my formula, so that's my C1. So this is S1, this is C1, and then I want to add, actually in the game they use like percent like this. So I have another word here, this is another text. So this is my S2. Okay, so I have text, then my percent, and then the word percent. So that means my line will look like this: C1, S1, C1, S2. So can we find that somewhere in here? Yeah, right here. So number 3 is perfect for us to use. Now, just in case that was overwhelming, let me do it a different way. So let's say I wanted to put the number in the front. So I want to start with my number, 10% faster hit recovery. I guess I should do like the game, percent faster hit recovery. Okay, so now we have the number in the front, so this is our formula, C1. And behind it we have a string, S1, and this can all be part of the same string. So I could do C1, S1, or if I wanted to make this be percent and this one be faster hit recovery, then I can use a second string. If I wanted to, I could split them into 2 strings here. But either way, I would have either C1, S1 or C1, S1, S2. So can we find that? Well, here's the first one. If we want to do all the words in one string, then we can do C1, S1. And then if you wanted to do, I'm not sure if there even is a C1, S1, S2. Probably not, but you could go through the list and find whatever you want. And you can see that some of them already have things like, look at this one. This one says your string number 1 will be followed by a semicolon like this, then a space, then a plus, and then your formula will go here, and then another space, and then a string number 2. That's pretty good for us as well, right? Because that means we could replace the string with faster hit recovery. Then we've got our nice little semicolon and then the plus, because it's increase. This will be 10. And then our string number 2 could be percent. Wait, actually no, this one already comes with a percent. So actually we don't even need this string here. So this one is pretty nice. S1, C1 with a plus and a percent sign. We could use that as well. And then look at this one here. This one gives you a one string, 2 strings, then a plus, the formula, and then the word % also comes with it. So some of these come with words predefined. For example, this one is your damage, and then the XY is the monster damage. So some of them are pre-built for you. Some of them you can customize yourself. Don't worry if you're overwhelmed by all of this. I've already picked one, so today we'll be using the S1C1 because it's pretty simple. So we'll take the 3. Let's go back to our file. Okay, so let's plug in our 3. And then here, we have to put our string. So go to your Diablo 2 folder. Let me see if I can make you guys see this. There you go. Go into the data, local, language, English, and then open the file that we set up the other day. Now let's scroll all the way to the bottom and click the plus sign. And now we can add a string. So let's give it a name. So Thorns hit recovery. We want to append it to the end. We want to add to the bottom of this list, not at the in the middle. Okay, and then here is what so this is basically the name to call this. So in the game files we're going to be using this one, but this is what the player will see. So faster hit recovery, and now I'm typing in my own semicolon and a space because I didn't pick the other one in the list that comes with it, so I have to type it in myself. Save. And then there's already a string for %, but let me just make one anyway. Let's say new %, because there's already one in the game. I just don't want to go find it right now. And then we'll add the word %. Okay, so I've got my 2 strings here. So let me copy this. So now I've got my 3 here. Then the text A is the first string, string number 1. So we want to put in the one that comes first, which is our Thorns hit recovery. So this is S1 and S2. They're labeled A and B, which is a bit confusing, but A is S1. So here then we need to type in our new %. So you can see here, I've now told it use the format 3, which is S1, C1, S2. Here's my S1, here's my S2, and now the formula. And if you remember, our formula was ln56. So you just write ln56 here. This is what I was talking about in a previous video where I said it'll be really convenient if you set up parameters, because then when you want to buff or nerf your skill, you can come here and change these 2 numbers anytime, and it'll change them both for the skill and for the skill description, because they're both referencing this part. Okay, so if we did this right, then in the game we'll have a new line added below radius but above damage return, and it should look pretty fancy. It should look like a, well, actually pretty much like the radius line. So let's check it out. We'll refresh the character, and there it is, faster hit recovery. Now you see it says 11 and then it says % like kind of attached to it, right? There's no spacing in between the number and the word. So let's fix that. So going back to our table string, or string table. So you can see here I told you that I added my own semicolon because it doesn't, this string number 1 doesn't come with a semicolon or a space. So here you can see in the game it looks great because I added it myself here. But for percent, I didn't add a space here, so I can just do space. And then when I refresh the game, you can see it now looks good. Now, that's why, if maybe it'll help you understand now, that's why some of these have things that come with it. For example, this one has a plus sign. That means I wouldn't have to type in a plus sign, it comes with it. Or this one here will come with a semicolon and the space, and then even a plus, and then the number in percent. So actually, let's do that. Let's put 63. 63. And we don't need S2. And then let's save and go in game. And now you can see there it says faster hit recovery, string 1. And then there's my semicolon and space there. And then an extra semicolon and space there that comes with it. So if we had used the 63, then what we could do is forget this, just remove it. Because this string number, or string number 63, or whatever you want to call those, the line number 63, comes with the semicolon and the space, and even a plus and even a percent. Now you see here, it says 11%, and then it says an evil force. So when the game cannot find the string, it just writes an evil force. So if you ever make a mistake and your game says an evil force somewhere, that means maybe you typed in the wrong string name, or you didn't create an entry for it, or something like that. Remember that 63 comes with S2. And in my file, I did not put an S2. I left this empty. So because of that, it puts an evil force there. Anyway, let me put my semicolon space back in. There we go. Okay, now we're good. So there you have it. So this is how you can modify an aura. I've only just covered the basics. I didn't really dive too deep into skills deck description. We'll do that one in another video. I'll show you in another video how to like move it in the tree and stuff like that. But I think for now this is a lot to take in. So I think it's a good place to stop. So I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you did, and thanks for watching.